My name is John Dawson, and I'm doing a series of videos on how to do Pronto prints. This particular video tackles the problem of color prints. I'm going to do a two-color print. Whether it's 2 colors or 10 colors, the system is pretty much the same. Color printing is all involved with how to register the print. That means they have to have the plates lined up so when you print them, everything is in its proper place. I use a pretty simplistic registration method. It's not too complicated. There may be better methods out there. I'm not so sure. This one works pretty well for me. I'm going to do 2 different demonstrations. The first one, the registration method, didn't work out quite as well as it did on the second one, which worked out pretty well. Most of the basic printing information I've already covered in a previous video. So a lot of the basic printing material I'm just going to skim over and get down to the problem of creating a color print. As I said, this is going to be a 2-plate process. This is plate number 1, or the key plate. Now I'm going to put a new Pronto plate, a new clean Pronto plate, over the top of the key plate, and I'm going to clip it together with paper clips in order to keep it from moving while I create the second plate. Now I've put those 2 plates on a light box. You don't absolutely have to have a light box. It just makes it a little easier. I've drawn out the border, and now I'm going to draw around the basic shape of the figure on the key plate. Once I have the basic shape of the figure drawn out, I'm going to begin to stop out areas with gum arabic. I'm going to start with the border, and then I'm going to stop out the entire shape of the figure. Then, with an airbrush filled with Indy ink, which I have watered down just a little bit, I'm going to spray in a texture in the background. Once I've finished with the airbrush, I put the plate in a tank, and I'm sponging it off with water. And then once I have it sponged off pretty well, I'll take a paper towel and wipe it down. And now I'm going to put on the registration marks. First I have to turn the plate over. The registration marks are really already on this plate, as you can probably see, but I'm just trying to demonstrate what I did. I put marks on the top and bottom and the right and left hand sides on the back of the plate. I'm placing the key plate on top of the color plate, and I'm going to take a couple of paper clips and clip them together in exactly the right position, exactly the same position. And I'm using the paper clips so they won't move. Then, as you can see, the registration marks are also on this plate as well. But you can see through the plate to the one underneath, and you want to put the registration marks in exactly the same place on the back of the color plate. I have aluminum litho plate that I've secured down to a sheet of plexiglass that I'll be using to sponge up and roll up the Pronto plates on. I have drawn out a a square using a red Sharpie in order to make it more visible, placing the Pronto plate exactly into that square. And now I'm going to copy off the registration marks onto the aluminum plate in exactly the same place that they are on the back of the key plate. And then I'll do the very same thing with the color plate. Now that I'm finished with the second plate, I'm mixing up some ink. I'm mixing up some blue color using white etching ink and some oil paint. I rolled up the color plate with blue ink, ran it through the press and printed it, and this is the result. I rolled up the key plate with black ink and then printed it on top of the already printed blueprint. And then this is the final result. Well, I did get a couple of prints with proper registration, but it didn't really work out as well as I had thought. What actually happened was when I sponged down the plate, that the aluminum plate that had the Pronto plate on it, the registration marks tended to wash off, even though I had put them on there with an indelible ink pen, a Sharpie. Anyway, that meant that the image on the color plate wasn't always printed in the right position, so that the registration was off after printing the key plate. I adjusted for that after I figured out what was wrong, and eventually did get some with proper registration. But I have a solution for that I think will work out much better. I've taken a piece of plexiglass, which I've already beveled on the front side, and turned it over. I mark it on the back to indicate the back so that there's no confusion later. Now I'm putting in a square that's exactly the size of the Pronto print that I'm going to be printing. I'm going to put in the registration lines on the right and left, the top and the bottom. And it's important to put a cross across the registration line at the top so that you always know that that's the top of the plate. And then I like to put in one extra line to help with the registration. Now I'm putting the color plate face down on the plexiglass. It's important to remember to put it face down. Face down on the back will be face up on the front. This already had the registration lines on it. I'm just redoing them for the sake of the video. So you're going to put the registration lines on the back. Then you're going to do the same thing with the key plate. Now we have to turn the plexiglass plate over, and we're putting the print paper on the plexiglass plate. It's going to be face down because when it's printed it'll be face down, and we're putting registration lines on the back. And it's important to remember to put a cross at the registration line at the top so you won't get it confused later. Now I'm mixing a simple flesh tone with white etching ink and oil paint. And now I'm going to roll up the color plate. Once it's rolled up, we'll begin to print. Now we're going to put the paper down, lining up the registration lines. Normally I'd move the plexiglass plate to the press and do this all in the press so that we'd be ready to print, but I thought it might be easier to see on the video this way. And this is the print of the color plate. The key plate has been inked and ready to print. I'm taking the print I've made of the color plate. This time we're doing it directly on the press. Laying it down and lining it up with the registration marks. And now we're ready to print. This is a print of the key plate without the color plate, just in black and white. And this is both plates printed together, creating a two-color Pronto print. Well, that registration method worked out a whole lot better. It came out with almost perfect registration each time. In making a plexiglass plate like this, you can use it over and over if you're going to print Pronto plates that are exactly the same size. If you want to print something that's a different size, it's very simple to take the markings off the plexiglass. You just put a little alcohol on a paper towel and it'll wipe everything right off, and then just redraw it. Well, this is the end of this video, and also the end of this series of videos on how to do Pronto prints. I'll follow this up with some examples of my own prints, and the address for my web page and Facebook page. And if you're interested, I have other instructional videos that you can subscribe to on YouTube.